Perfect. So, hey guys, welcome to another awesome webinar from AdmitKard. And today, along with two awesome mentors, we are going to help you with your IELTS and TOEFL preparation, while it's perfect opportunity in this lockdown to prepare well. So if you've just joined, do put up a hi in the chat section to let us know that you're here. So Jyoti says, good evening. Hi, Victor. Hi, Shivam. Hi, Paramjeet. We have Sairam. We have Piyush. We have Deepak. So guys, just put up a hi and then we'll begin. Okay, so my name is Pragya and I lead the mentorship vertical here at AdmitKard. And today's webinar is going to help you master your test prep. It might be IELTS or TOEFL. So on that note, let me introduce two wonderful mentors we have for today. We have Teja and we have Kamran, who have come together to give you insight out about the exams. So Kamran, starting with you, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, hey everyone, my name is Kamran. I'm an alumni of the University at Buffalo, the State University of New York. I passed out this fall 2020, uh, actually winter 2020. Yeah, and I'm currently working at Amazon as a full-time software development engineer. As you can see, I've already gotten a 113 in my TOEFL, and looking forward to this webinar.
Perfect. So moving on to Teja, can you quickly introduce yourself? Teja, we can't hear you. No voice, Teja. Could you just please check your mic? So meanwhile, let me just move forward. Please just quickly check your mic meanwhile, okay? So in this webinar, we will be walking through some important questions about the exam that you have to give while making your study abroad applications. And then we will have a fun round with both of our mentors. And in the end, we will have a live Q&A section where you can ask all the doubts that you have regarding IELTS or TOEFL. So if you're planning to going to abroad, you'll probably need two of these basic exams for English proficiency, that is IELTS and TOEFL. So on that note, let us begin. And meanwhile, Teja will join us back, right? So Kamran, starting with you, in very simple terms, if I have to ask, what is TOEFL exam? Could you just introduce that to our students?
Yeah, sure. So, when you're coming to a country like United States of America, where English is your first language, is the first language used in this country, so they require every student that comes into the country to have a certain limit of proficiency, at least in their language, so that they can communicate and live in this country properly and get their education. So, TOEFL is that minimum proficiency uh, verification exam, sort of. So in this, they'll check four aspects of your English speaking, listening, reading, and writing. And these four criteria will define how good you are in English. And every university sets a minimum English score, which is required to get into their university. And yeah, that's all it is. Just an English exam.
Perfect. So meanwhile, hi Sheikh, hi Abhilash, hi Nitin, hi Aina, and hi Muhammad. So Teja, is your mic working all right now?
Yeah, I should ask you guys that. Is it fine now?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect, perfect.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
Teja, you can start with a brief introduction about yourself and then moving on to a basic definition of IELTS exam.
Okay. My name is Teja. I'm a grad student at Arizona State University. I'm doing my master's in IT here. I'm originally from Hyderabad, and I've worked at TCS for 3 years before coming here. And my undergrad was from Geetam, Visakhapatnam, if you guys know it. Uh, so IELTS is International English, sorry, yeah, International English Language Testing System. As Cameron said, it's another type of English proficiency test that you have to take before you come here, so that the universities know that you can manage basic level of English to survive study, of course. So yeah, that's about it.
Perfect. So I'll just quickly walk you through the agenda that we're going to address. Like I mentioned, we are going to take some top questions that the students have in mind. We'll go on to a fun round, and in the end, we'll have a live Q&A section. So just stay tuned for all that while, right? So the first question for you, Teja. So when did you start your preparation for IELTS?
I started about 3 weeks before when my scheduled test was.
Okay. Moving on to Kamran. When did you start your TOEFL preparation?
For me, the preparation already started when I started preparing for the GRE because I believe that both these exams go hand in hand. The English exam or English part of the GRE is pretty easy, but pretty difficult actually when compared to the TOEFL English. So when I started preparing for GRE, that's when simultaneously I started preparing for TOEFL as well. So that would be around 2 months, 2 to 3 months before I start applying to universities. So that was like, yeah. So I started applying in November of 2018. So that was like October or September of 2018.
Okay, perfect. So meanwhile, hi Palak, hi Anukriti, hi Rahul, hi Navdeep. So moving forward, the next question would be, since Teja, you mentioned you took a very small period of time to prepare. What time exactly is enough for IELTS preparation? What do you think? What amount of time students should put in their preparation for IELTS?
Again, that boils down to each person, but on a bird's eye view, uh, I spent about 4 5 hours a day, only doing this thing. So and about 3 weeks of time was good enough for me, and so that works. But again, it boils down to each individual. But I would say anything between uh, a month if you spend about 2 3 hours a day, and if you can spend more, a little less.
Okay. So the same question for you, Kamran. What is the amount of time that the student should put in their preparation for TOEFL?
Uh, I believe people give undue importance to TOEFL. At the end of the day, TOEFL boils down to just an English proficiency exam. So I feel like that when it comes to preparation, if you're going full on in this preparation, like spending 5 hours plus per day, I think it shouldn't take you more than 2 weeks to ace TOEFL exam because given that anyone that's giving TOEFL is basically probably gonna come to the US, and so they probably will prepare for GRE as well. So I don't think that it would take more than like if you just want to score, let's say 110 plus a TOEFL, then I don't believe that you need more than 3 to 4 weeks of preparation when it comes to that.
Okay, perfect. So I'll take up a question here from Sadam Sai. Is 15 years study enough to go to Canada? So Sadam, some of the universities do accept 15-year education, but primarily if you have a 16-year education, you have more options there. So the next question for you, Teja, would be when you thought of studying abroad and you decided you have to give IELTS, what is the first step that you took? Like how exactly should the students start preparing?
Uh, I started right away with I mean, um, I as you know, there are different parts of the IELTS test. So I started my preparing simultaneously for my listening, speaking, and reading. And after I've thoroughly finished those, I started preparing for writing. That's just how I did it. But there's no set rule that you need to start this way or that way. But this is how I did.
So did you just Google up the IELTS exam and started for and searching for material, or did you join some
Uh,
online classes?
Actually, I have there were friends that took the IELTS earlier, and they actually suggested me great websites to practice IELTS, and one is IELTSonlinetest.com that gives you mocks for the IELTS test, and that was pretty bang on, pretty close to the actual paper, and it was really good. It helped me out a lot, and specifically for the writing part, which is usually the hardest part of the whole exam. There was a series of videos by a woman called Liz. She has a
Mhm.
site, IELTSlist.com. I don't know if you guys heard it. That really helped me out a lot because I could structure out what to write, how to write, and I mean, I had a blueprint on how to write everything, and that saved me a lot of time in the actual exam.
Yeah, in fact, IELTS List is an awesome website for IELTS, and personally, I went to that website when I was preparing. So, to answer the question here, we have Ankit. I'm supposing. What was your IELTS score? So, Teja got an 8 in the IELTS test. To answer that, so the same question for you, Kamran. How should the student start preparing for the TOEFL exam?
Uh, I think there's a very heavy weight that I would put on spending some time, at least a week, on getting the all the resources you'll be needing. So I would say you should spend time in understanding the format of the test, because that's something really important, because TOEFL can sometimes be a little weird in the sense that the sections, they start in some way, and then you have to understand how each section, because since it's basically a completely computer based test, you'll have to understand how the format runs and when you'll get a break and what's a break and stuff like that. So spending some time understanding the format of the test and getting all the resources, because I give a lot of importance to mocks. Mock tests are one of the most important things that you can get for yourself. So find all the websites with mock tests. There are some mocks in Princeton as well. So if you can find your friends who are in Princeton who are giving mocks, then that would be great as well. And so, yeah, I would say spending a good amount of time understanding the format of the test and getting all the resources before you just dive into preparing for it.
Perfect. So, since for both of the tests, there's a lot of material that is available online. If you just Google up, so many websites and so much of resources show up, so we don't know who to trust, right? So, any particular websites, online courses, or coaching that you went through for your respective preparations. So, starting with Teja.
The book that they actually give with the few days after you register, that uh, helped me out a lot. And the only places I tried learning the for the whole test was the two websites I mentioned. One was ILS for writing, and uh, the mock test for everything else, because you cannot really study how to listen stuff. You just practice the mocks, and hopefully you get it right.
Perfect. So, the same question for you, Kamran.
Yeah, I think there's a great website called Netflix.com that really helps you in understanding all the stuff that you require for giving a TOEFL exam. Because honestly, TOEFL is a computer-based test. It's a computer speaking towards you. What better place to learn about a computer speaking towards you than Netflix? I feel. Look, watch. My preparation for TOEFL was maximum time spending on Netflix, watching all the shows that I could without subtitles, understanding what's going on, and like comprehending stuff, that okay, so this scene you wanted to say this, and just think of the all the shows in the part of, like, if you were listening to a show, how would it be? That same logic is applied to listening when you come to TOEFL, or reading or writing, anything like that. So it really helps when you're watching shows and preparing in that way, because that really helps, I believe.
Perfect. So I'll take up a few questions here. We have Rahul who's saying I'm als beginner. So Rahul, you should just try to understand the pattern of the exam first before you start preparing and judge yourself basis that. Next we have Ajay. What was the main aspect during speaking section? So this question is for you, Teja. What was the main aspect of IELTS during the speaking section?
It has a format again. You can look it up online. Uh, you have different sections in the speaking one as well. They give you a short one initially, and you're supposed to speak for so long. And the key thing to take away from the speaking test and how everyone does it is uh, it helps if it's just like it's not a test and you're just having a normal conversation with the woman. She would most probably be an Indian, and a woman that a lady that is probably a English teacher somewhere, and so keep your cool, and if you could just have a normal conversation with her, then the topics would be a really generic topics. Like mine was, where did you go on a trip last time? So if you could keep the conversation casual, and just let it flow, that's the most important part.
Perfect. So I hope, Ajay, that solves your question. And in this PPT in the background, you'll see the speaking section as well. So you can just take away some pointers from there. But for speaking more prominently, just remember it's they are just testing if you can communicate in English. That's all that they're testing. So be confident. We have Nitin who's asking which course should I consider in Canada after doing B Pharma here in India. If you guys can help him out, Teja, Kamran.
Sorry, I lost you. What did you ask?
I'm asking there's a student asking, which course should I consider in Canada after doing B Pharma here in India?
Uh, I think there's a lot of medical courses that go here. I think biomedical engineering is as well something that they could take up if they want to go into it. And yeah, to be honest, although I don't have a lot of experience in this field, so I wouldn't be too opinionated in telling you what. But I think getting into finding your passion, and if something that's something you really know that okay, I have interest in, just look up in on or find one university for reference and just look up their courses and something that seems like it corresponds very closely with your course, then go ahead and find out about it.
Perfect. So I hope this solves your question, Nitin. We'll take one more here. We have Ritu. I've done my master's in computer science. So what are the best options for me?
Yeah, a master's in computer science opens a lot of options for you. I mean, you are able to do master's in information technology, master's in computer science, and if you're after you've done that, I think it's just now it comes to what your interest is. Are you interested in research that you could follow up with PhD, or if you're interested in, I'm sorry, I don't know a lot of background. Did you do your master's in computer science here in US or I mean somewhere abroad, or you were talking about in India that you have completed your master's from there? But in either ways, it just corresponds to two options that I could think of. It's following up with a PhD and or following up with a job. If you are interested in or maybe startup, I don't know. So if you have an interest in PhD, then it would if you're and assuming that you're here or somewhere abroad, then a PhD will open up a lot of opportunities for you getting an easy green card if you do a decent PhD from a decent university.
Perfect. So next question from Inayat. Is it necessary to submit documents for master's degree in mechanical engineering, which I suppose it is necessary, but I think because of the government is giving a lot of leverage and they're letting you, go ahead with your applications with the unofficial documents, which means the digital copies. So you can just check that on the official website. Next, Jyoti, I'm pursuing BCA. I wanted to go abroad. Which course is better for me? So if you guys have any idea about what she can pursue after BCA.
Teja, would you like to answer that?
Uh, yeah, I don't know really much about. I'm probably not the best person to go for this.
So BCA is
Sorry.
actually bachelor's in computer science. So I think it opens up a lot of options for you, Jyoti. I think it would be better if you write down the country as well. It would help us a lot, right? So I'm going to take up all the queries for you from you guys. So just stay there. I'm going to shoot the next question for you. So for Teja, a very simple question: how to score 8+ in IELTS? So any tips, any special tricks that the student should be using?
This may sound like I'm boasting or stuff from a movie, but uh, the special tricks include just consistency, doing it every day. And I used to, for the speaking part of the test, uh, they have a few sets of topics that they are usually asked from. So I used to drive my way to the work and back. So it was about 40 minutes drive. So I used to talk to myself all the way through, pick a topic and just speak all the way through. And yeah, it just boils down to more consistency that you need to do this thing every day till you get the test.
Okay, so the next question would be, so there are four modules in IELTS, right? And which one of those four modules were the most difficult for you?
Writing is always challenging because of the time constraints you have, and because yeah, as this generation it gets harder to remember spellings. I have a huge trouble with it. I cannot remember spellings. So the writing part actually is a challenge. And again, the way to overcome that is having a set blueprint, as in whatever the topic comes over, you decide ki, my introduction should be like this, and my the whole pattern would be like this. And for this, IELTS list actually helped because she gave a specific pattern on blueprint on each type of writing questions that have been asked. So that actually saved a lot of time in the actual exam. I was actually about able to spare some time. I there was some time left over, but every one of my friends had really hard time doing the writing part.
Perfect. So I'll take a question here. We have Anukriti asking how to get a good score in speaking and writing in IELTS. From my end, I think it's very important to understand what you're being marked on. So just understand, what are the credentials that are being marked on. So understand the pattern very well for both speaking and writing. So on the screen, you have the pattern for speaking, right? So just understand that very well. Other than that, be try to practice fluency, vocabulary, and vocabulary is really not about using fancy words. It's about having a basic understanding of different words and synonyms and antonyms. So just practice that, and go up to IELTS list.com. It will really help you. Pose that, I'll take up another question here. Recently, I've completed MBA in finance and management. I want to go to foreign specific countries, Canada. What scope of me and what courses are best for me? So, Teja, if you have any idea about MBA in finance management.
Um they are great universities everywhere. I really only know about the courses and universities we have here. There is School for International Business and Supply Chain Management, that side, and I have yeah, they have good finance courses as well, but I'm really not sure what universities are there in Canada. But yeah,
Okay,
maybe
perfect.
Cameron can give a better idea on this.
So, Kamran, can you hear us? Hello. I think we're losing him again and again. So I'll pick up the next question for you, Teja.
Uh-huh.
So how do students should practice time management while preparing for their IELTS exam? Because some of the students might be working somewhere, so it gets really tough to manage time, and not just in the preparation, but also in the actual exam. So how should students go about it?
Again, I used to work while I studied for this, and it helps to have a fixed set of time. I used to practice during my lunch hours and right after my office ended. It helps to have a set timetable that these hours are for preparation. And again, for different parts like writing, that is the most time taking of all in the exam. So again, having a blueprint, having a set of structure to your essay so that you can just go at it right away, uh, irrespective of the topic, helps, and it actually saves a lot of time.
Perfect. So, next question would be for you, Kamran. We have Shubham who's asking, what is the TOEFL score for securing admissions to top 20 US universities in MS Computer Science? We can't hear you, Kamran. Just check if you're on mute. Kamran, you're not audible. Please just check your mic again once. Okay, so meanwhile, Teja, we'll take the next question for you. What score is good in terms of IELTS to apply to most of the US universities?
Uh, Anything above 7.5 is a great score, and one of the most important scores that they consider is a speaking score, because it's if you want a teaching assistantship or a research assistantship or any type of funding and scholarships, most of them have a criteria of a set speaking score. So yeah.
Okay. So I'll take a question here from Nandkishore, who's asking, are IELTS exam going on now in India? So Nandkishore, in that manner, the IELTS exam, which is in the test center, is not happening right now. There were dates available, but they have been pushed back again due to COVID. However, you can take IELTS indicator exam from the back at your home, right? And you can take it again. That is available, but you again have to check in which universities it is applicable. So Kamran, can you just try again? You're not audible.
Exiting and re-entering helped me the first
Yeah,
time.
Kamran, just exit and enter again. Okay. So meanwhile, we have one question here. Is it possible to do PhD in computer science from US? So Teja, you could answer that.
Yeah, they have lots of undergrad courses here as well, and they're pretty good if you uh, plan it accordingly, and if you have interest in research or do you want to do something good, you can actually plan it accordingly, and you can search for funding and scholarships ahead of time. And yeah, it's always a great idea to do undergrad here because it opens up a lot of opportunities here. And if you plan it right enough, it can actually be pretty cheap doing an undergrad here as well.
Okay, perfect. So I'll take up a next question from Inayat. Is learning German mandatory for master's degree in Germany? So Inayat, it is not necessary because there are English taught courses as well. But other than that, you should be a bit fluent in German so that you can carry on with your course and you can work part time and for all those reasons. Also for applying to jobs over there, management in international business in Canada, and which college is best. So I'm not sure, Teja, if you have clue about Canada though. If you could help him.
You broke down in between. This is sorry, what was the question again?
I'm asking, what is the scope of management in international business in Canada, and which college is best?
Again, I'm not really sure uh, about the universities in Canada, and of course college specific to that course. So I'm sorry.
Okay. So, to answer that, Manjeet, there is a lot of scope for management and international business in Canada. There are a lot of colleges and universities which will offer you that, right? And it is very difficult to suggest a best college because it again depends on your profile, on which college that would be that you'll be getting basis your profile. But however, what you can do is you can go on to AdmitKard's website and you can fill in your basic details. It gives you direct shortlist on what colleges would be best fit for you. So I think that would be a help. I'll take up next question here from Ajay. It is really necessary during speaking section giving detailed information to the assigner and at the same time giving detailed information which links to the previous question. So I'll just ease in this bit for you. So he just means if the answers of the section 3 have to be related to section 2. So Teja, you can answer that.
No, not really. The whole point of the test is to just let them know that you're okay with speaking in English and you have no problem communicating. Uh, if the instructor is dead set on it, you might have to link it. She'll instruct you in the same way if she wants like that, but that's not usually the case. Uh, but it helps to have a callback. It helps to have something to relate on. So I plan to do that, but it's not really mandatory. It's up to the instructor, and you know.
Okay, so I'll just add to this, Ajay. So in the section 2, you get a cue card on which you have to speak for about 2 minutes, and post that the questions they are quite related to your topic in the cue card. But again, those have to be really detailed. And one important trick here would be that in the section 1 you talk about yourself and giving details about yourself, but the section 3 has to be really about in general and what is global. So you should not use terms like I feel or I believe. So that's a quick trick. So Kamran, can you just try and speak something if we can hear you now?
Yeah, am I audible now?
Perfect, perfect. We're really
Great.
glad to hear your voice now. Okay, so next question would be for you, Kamran, right?
Mhm.
So how to get a good score in TOEFL? The same question for you. What are the best tricks that the student should imply?
I'm just going to reiterate on the importance of just going through mocks, because that is something that you really, really should go through, because mock tests are really important, because all the exams by ETS are like computer based, and they have a pretty like innocuous layout of tests, I would say. And so you would really need to understand how it goes, and speaking in front of a computer gets really, really weird over time. So like it's just you're speaking to someone, putting your noise cancelling headphones on, and then you just speak and you don't get anything back. So it takes some time to get used to it. So I would definitely ask you to spend most of your time not learning or mugging up new words, but more like understanding the how the test goes on and how you would speak to a computer in front of you. So mocks are the most important thing that you should focus on. And say you're preparing for 3 weeks, I would say 1 week for preparation, understanding the concepts and stuff, and 2 weeks just giving mocks, because it's at the end of the day. At the end of the day, it's just an English exam, and you've been speaking English your whole life. You just have to accustom yourself to speaking in front of a computer.
Okay, perfect. So we have a question for you, Kamran here. Hi, Kamran. Can you tell me about good universities for MS in mechanical? We have a question from Anmol.
Okay, it's a very subjective question. I feel like people should definitely, if they really want to get a profile check, they would. I would ask them to, tell them if they're from a tier 3 college, tier 2 college, or tier 1 college, or how good their GRE is, or what they're looking for. When you tell me about good universities, there are good universities by name. Those will be the Ivy League. There are good universities by the return on your investment. So I would say cheap universities, but really good universities that you get into and you'll get a good job. It's like you would want a university where you can continue to be to get your doctorate. So it's just what is your final goal. That's really important. So if you could tell me more about what are you looking for in a university, then I would be better able to suggest you universities, I believe.
So, Anmol, you can just, if it's possible, you can just put up your profile details and we could help you out better. So, one question here would be there's a basic difference of IELTS and TOEFL which students feel is that, again, maybe on the difficulty level. So, I would like to know from you why exactly you chose IELTS and you chose TOEFL respectively, or is it like something that you just went through and never thought of? So, starting with Teja, why exactly did you go for IELTS instead of TOEFL? And do you think there's a difference between IELTS and TOEFL?
I cannot really comment on TOEFL, but the only thing that turned me off was I had to speak into a machine, and that was really awkward for me. So I just went with IELTS because it felt like it. So I didn't really think much about TOEFL, so I couldn't really compare those two. But IELTS worked for me, and yeah, it was fine.
The same question for you, Kamran. What do you think is the difference between IELTS and TOEFL?
Yeah, as definitely as Teja said, that the primary difference, the fundamental difference is speaking to a person and using your pen and paper that we've been doing for our entire lives, to compare to typing on a keyboard or speaking in front of a machine and stuff like that. That's the primary difference, definitely. But one thing that I noticed was I knew very well that I wanted to get into US. So the TOEFL exam has a greater acceptance rate when it comes to TOEFL rather than IELTS. That's what I found out when I did my research. So since if your IELTS is more like generic, it's accepted in Canada, it's accepted in UK, Australia, US as well, but not as much. Like 7 out of 10 universities accept TOEFL IELTS score, whereas 9 out of 10 universities accept TOEFL score. So that was my research, and that's why I went with TOEFL, so that I could, get a better grip of it. And it boils down to, I think, perception, because as Teja said, it just turned him off that he couldn't speak He wouldn't want to speak in front of a machine because it's weird, obviously. But again, in my perception, that was something that I was looking forward to, because then you're not judged by your a lot of things that people see, that like how you're speaking or how you look or how you just sit down or first impressions. At the end of the day, the human factor definitely weighs in, and that's something that I didn't want to happen. So that's the reason I also went with TOEFL.
Okay, perfect. So we have a question from Ajay again about the IELTS speaking part. So to clarify that Ajay, the first section, the examiner would ask questions that relates to you. So you have to answer about yourself in a very brief context. But in the section three, the questions would relate to the entire globe or something that is common to general public. That is why you should not, you should refrain from giving opinion about yourself. So I hope that helps you out. So Kamran, we have Anmol who has given his profile here. I want to know for mechanical for my masters in Canada. And Kamran, sir, can you suggest one or two good universities? I can spend 30 lakhs per year. So you can suggest now. So I think basis the budget, if you can give him maybe one or two universities that he can go for that are good for mechanical.
Okay, so this is something that I would want anyone further gonna, if they're gonna ask questions related to universities and profile check. It's something that's great that you're looking for return on investment. That's a good thing. But there are a lot of universities, especially when you come to a developed country like Canada or US. There are a lot of universities. So I wouldn't suggest you names because I still do not know your profile. But I would suggest looking up to into the universities which give you GA-ship, RA-ship, TA-ship, where you get your scholarship from university. You make them pay for your own studies. So that's something that you should look forward to. I mean, there are a lot of great resources. I think getting university by rank is a sham, which a lot of students in India just go like they just follow that like a herd. Yeah, it's a herd movement that people are just looking at the rank and just going to the university. I think it's a sham, definitely, because I've studied from university at Buffalo, where I've done projects from Stanford and Harvard as well. So it's just a sham that you get into a name. Obviously, definitely an Ivy League would help you, but after that, like if you're not in the top 10 universities in the world, then you're just in another university. So look into return on investment on how much you could get if you spend like for how little you spend. That's something that I would really emphasize on. So yeah, I could. Sorry, I cannot refer you a university or two, but definitely I could guide you in a direction to look for these criteria when you're looking for university.
So Anmol, to help you out better here, so Kamran is one of our mentors. So to talk to him, you can go on to the AdmitKard's website and fill in your profile basic details, and then click on Mentor Connect to talk to him. Or what you can do is you can just quickly click on the link that is on the top, and that would take you to an exclusive group that is there for all the attendees of this webinar, and we have it out solved there, right? Okay, so we'll take one more question here from Anukriti. I am looking for USA, UK, Canada. Is it better to give IELTS and TOEFL? So again, Anukriti, it's the same question of difference between IELTS and TOEFL. So if you guys can comment something, yeah.
Yeah, I believe that if you're going for you're like aiming for all the three countries differently, then I would encourage you to give IELTS, since that has a more better acceptance rate outside of US. Unless Teja, do you have something to add?
Yeah, the same as you said. If you're going for multiple countries, it's always better to have taken IELTS because the other countries have it. I mean, they take it over TOEFL a little better. So
Yep.
Perfect. So, so one question from you, Kamran, which we have covered for IELTS, but now for TOEFL, which was the most difficult section that you felt in your TOEFL exam, and how exactly did you move through it?
Oh, okay. So this is something that not a lot of people know, because they don't really give TOEFL more than once, so they don't really share this with anyone. But something that I would say is like that's something that was really okay. This is a tie between two sections, but I would go over one of them and then I can speak about the other in some other question. It is speaking, yeah, definitely, because it so happens that unlike IELTS, which is great, I think that you don't have to you get into just with one-on-one with a person. In TOEFL, it so happens that when you're speaking, almost if you're not early to your test center, if you're on time, like a lot of students that come on time, say you have a 9 a.m. slot and you start your exam at 9 a.m. with others, then you get, most probably you'll get your speaking section along with, or just a little before, or in the worst case a little after everyone has started their own speaking section. Then you can see the whole room chirping with some other sounds, and you just get distracted easily because almost everyone's speaking on the same topic that you're speaking on. And it's just human mind that gets forayed into different people's voices, and they're like trying to not listen but also trying to listen. It's just a split, and you just astray from your what you wanted to say, and then that's totally it was really difficult for me. But yeah, how I tackled it was I knew beforehand about it because my seniors told me, and then I went before the test started, like 15 minutes before. So I started my speaking test 15 minutes before everyone else did. And trust me, I'm so glad that I did because it was chaotic and everyone started their speaking.
Perfect. So next question is actually for both of you. Any particular type of question in IELTS or TOEFL that scratch your head and which is the most difficult to deal with? So I particularly remember when I gave IELTS in the reading section, when you had to give titles to each one of those paragraphs. It was a really tough deal for me to crack that. So similarly for you, any particular type of question you feel that was really difficult and how you actually went through it?
Kamran, go ahead.
Oh, sure. So I feel like yeah, the most like one thing that really posed a challenge for me was the comprehension passage because ever since my schooling, I believe that whenever comprehension passage went, I would not waste time reading the entire passage. Instead, I would just read the question and then look for the answer in the passage. And that is something that you shouldn't definitely not do when you're giving the TOEFL, because you don't understand the entire concept, because you would read a sentence and then you would think, okay, the author is trying to say this, but that is just a contradistinction that he would put in, and you would think that this is what the entire passage is trying to say, and that is something that you wouldn't want to do. I learned this the hard way from GRE, because the reading section is basically the same in GRE and TOEFL, because it's the same organization that's making exams. But yeah, so by the time I came to TOEFL, I did understand that first read the entire passage at least once, and then get into the questions, because then you would understand what the passage is really trying to say.
Perfect. So I'll take up a question here, which we have from Anil. Which country is better for artificial intelligence? So either one of you could answer that and maybe comment on the prospects of artificial intelligence in your own country.
I feel like computer science as a whole, including all the branches of computer science, have better scope in US, because definitely US has the Silicon Valley and all these startups keep coming up, and there are companies that are growing definitely a lot. So US is the holy grail of computer science. You would definitely want to come here when you're into artificial intelligence. But then again, do you want peace of mind? Do you want to spend 15 to 20 years of your life just earning a lot, definitely, but always in that middle path, that would you get a green card? Would you become a citizen here? Or it depends. If you just want to go back to India after a few years, then it's a great country to be in. But it also comes down to the struggle phase, that how good, how bad you want to earn, and also how good you can deal with the struggle. So yeah, definitely US, but then again, other countries have better prospects in other criteria that you might be looking for.
Perfect. So, Rama, Shankar, Driti, and everyone who's put down the question, we will take your questions in just a bit. So now, for Teja and Kamran, we have a really fun round that we have here. It's called Guess the Gibberish, and for everyone who's here as students, you can also guess along and help out with the answers. So, you know the drill about the this game, right, Kamran and Teja?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. So for the students, it will appear in some words will be there, and when you speak them very fast, it would actually form a sentence, right? So you just have to guess that, and let us just lighten up a mood a bit. So this is the first question for you.
You know, that's fine.
Fear of
So
missing
when
out.
you say that really quick, it would
Fear of
mean
missing out.
something.
Yeah. It's FOMO, fear of missing out.
Okay, are you sure?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's
yeah.
actually correct. This is really, really quick. So I'll move on to the next one. Next one is actually quite easy, and you need to guess that. Uh, yeah.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk.
Oh, you guys are awesome. Really smart. So yes, the answer is Elon Musk. So I think now is actually the fun part. So we have a very, very short, fun, rapid fire round for both of you, and we'll just start. So who should we start with? So
I think
Teja.
Teja would be, yeah, Teja would be great.
So Teja, we'll
You'd
start
say
with
that
you.
good. Yeah, yeah.
So I'll ask a question. It's a very easy drill question. You just have to answer it with yes or no.
I actually lost you there. I'm not acting.
Yeah, I actually, yeah, we lost you for here.
Am I audible?
Yeah, now you
Yeah.
are.
Perfect. So I'll speak up a question, and you have about 5 seconds to answer each one of them. Right. So for every all the students, just stay tuned. We'll after the short round, we'll continue with all the doubts that you have in an exclusive Q&A section. So starting with Teja. Okay. So first question: say anything in any language other than Hindi or English.
So करे छे.
Okay. City in US besides the one that you're in.
San Diego.
Your nickname.
No nicknames. Teja.
Fill in the blank. Music is.
Fun.
You have to be quick. Okay. So how often do you skip your meal because you have to cook for yourself?
Every day.
Okay. How many times did you get lost in your university when you were new?
Every day. The whole semester.
Your favorite junk food?
Bagels.
If not studying in US, what would you be doing right now?
Farming. That's it.
Okay. Difference between cake and a pie?
I don't know.
Okay. How many cups of coffee slash beer do you would you drink for free?
How many can you give me?
And what would it be? Coffee or beer?
Both of them?
Okay. So we'll move on to Kamran real quick. So I'll start with you, Kamran. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Say anything in language other than Hindi or English.
Bonjour.
City
Yeah,
in
fancy,
US.
yeah. Sorry.
So, city in US besides the one that you're in.
Nevada.
Fill in the blank. Music is.
A distraction.
How often do you skip your meal?
Oh, every day.
Your favorite junk food.
Burger.
Have you ever tasted soap?
No.
Have you ever slapped somebody?
Oh, yeah.
Difference between cake and a pie.
I like cake.
How many cups of coffee or slash beer would you drink for free?
One.
Give me a word that starts with letter Q.
Queen.
Okay. How long can you hold your breath for?
Let's find out. I think, yeah, not long. Not long.
Okay, perfect. So I think now that you're woken up, both of you, so I think for every student that has joined us, you can now put down your questions real quick, and I'll take the ones that are already there. So we have Ramashankar who's asking among Ireland and UK, which would you suggest for MSc in computer science? So either one of you can take that question.
Um, Yeah, I definitely feel a lot of my friends are in Ireland as well as in UK. So with the new rule changes that UK has posted, that allowing students to stay for a little longer and find a good job there, UK is definitely better when it comes to opportunities in computer science in particular. So yeah, I would incline towards UK. But then again, you have your it's a very subjective topic. You have relatives in Ireland, go there, find a better life when you're there. But in terms of opportunities, UK has more of them.
Okay. So next question from Dhriti. What are the chances of getting scholarship for average students? So either one of you can answer that. And maybe also
Uh,
you, both of you can actually talk about the scholarships if they're available in your university.
to be honest, it boils down to your hustle. It's like you have to know stuff. I mean, you have to research it. It's not like the top team of the college gets it. You just have to know. I mean, you have to mail people. You have to research a lot, and lots of people don't apply for scholarships and research assistants and study aids because they don't know about it. There are plenty of opportunities here, and if you choose a college that has really good funding, then I'm pretty sure you'll get it. You just have to hustle it out, mail everyone, every professor, every people that you can find, and relative people, and just research the hell out of it, and I'm sure you'll get it.
Yeah, in
Perfect.
my opinion, I feel
Yeah.
like getting scholarships is something that really depends, as Teja said, on how well the university is funded. So if it's a public university, it's probably not going to be funded that well, because if someone has seen the Patriot Act of Hassan Minaj, the recent episode of colleges in US, states have been reducing funding for universities over a decade now. So that's a bad thing, but definitely, the good thing also boils down to, like, I have friends in NYU, which is a private university, and they do get scholarship of like a quarter of thousand of a dollars to $5,000 per semester. But then even after those scholarships, their fees is like tuition fees is more like a much more than what I pay for my tuition. So I feel like this also boils down to how much you're paying in tuition, because a scholarship might sound fancy, but sometimes even after scholarship, you'll have better options out there that offer you better tuition fees without scholarships.
Okay, so next question from it's a Cedric. So I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct. For Australia, which one of IELTS, academic or general, is preferable? So I think Teja, if you can help with what is the prime difference between academic and general?
So academic is, as the name suggests, it goes with most of the universities ask for academic. They don't ask for general. I mean general. General comes into picture when you apply for citizenship or stuff like that. You have to take that general test again and score so many points, so many score to get a few points. So if you're going for studying and it's for universities, academic is the way to go.
Perfect. So that's actually the basic differentiation. In case you're applying to universities to study abroad, you actually have to go for IELTS academic. And if you're looking for PR, then you have to give the IELTS general test. So next question from Mohammed Ali. I'm looking for masters in industrial manufacturing for countries like Italy and New Zealand. So for this country, also IELTS and TOEFL work. Okay, and I want to ask regarding scholarship. So guys, if you have any clue about Italy and New Zealand.
I'm sorry, I have no idea about Leo New Zealand. Sorry.
So actually, to sum up, Mohammed, IELTS is actually accepted for both the countries. So you can go for IELTS and make your applications for studying abroad. Also, if you have to ask something about scholarship, I would really suggest you to go to AdmitKard's website. You have everything there, or maybe just fill in your profile and you'll get all the details that are there. So I'll take up a question from Chiran. It's for Teja. So when you say mail every professor, could you elaborate what that mail should be about and how that would help asking in regard to scholarship and research assistance?
So. Uh, how it works is the university gives each teacher or each professor a set amount of funds based on the results they do and based on the results they give out. So it's at the discretion of the professors to choose students that they can offload work to, like teaching assistantships and research assistants. Uh, so it boils down to what actually the professor is doing, in which department is he doing, and it's and completely his choice to take in or not. So regarding the mails, you can put, I mean, first research about the professor and what he's doing exactly, and if it resonates with you, and if it's something that interests you, and if you've worked on it before and you have a good profile and you can back it up to the professor saying, I very so I have I'm really interested in your research and I worked on it and these are my credentials and stuff. Um, it'll give you a better chances of him finding you useful, and if he finds you useful and you end up getting an RA or a TA, it's your cost of tuition is reduced substantially, and it's a good pay with no taxes. So it's good. So in the mail, you should just mention that what kind of research are you interested in, if it resonates with what the professor is doing, and have you worked on it before, and how are you useful? How would you be useful to him, just in simple terms?
Perfect. I think that's pretty much it, Chiranjeev. I hope it helps you. So again, it actually also matters on how relevant the professor is. So once you choose a professor that you want to work with, you have to really go through the work of that professor, their profile. So just make sure about that. And if you have further queries, you can click on the link on that top, and you can continue to ask your questions there. So another question for you guys would be, so on the day of the test, any tips that the student should remember when while they're going for the test or once they're there? So starting with you, Teja.
One thing I would suggest is they give you that wireless headphones while the listening thing happens, and they broadcast to everyone in the room. Yeah, they instruct you not to obstruct the signal receiving thing, but I end up doing this while doing a test, and it actually shaved a few points of my listening score because it's like I didn't notice I was blocking the receiver, so you should be careful about that. You might end up doing it.
Perfect. So moving on to you, Kamran.
Um, I just want to reiterate over what I said earlier that it would be always better to go to the test center 15-20 minutes before your test starts. You'll be allowed into the test center before that, and sometimes, actually, a lot of times, I feel that you'll be allowed to start your test earlier if you come in earlier. So it would be good if you. It would help you a lot in speaking section. Trust me, if you go in and start before everyone else does. So go to the test center a lot, like 15 to 20 minutes at least before your test starts. That would really help you.
Perfect. So actually, okay. So I think we've covered all the questions. So for everyone, just put up any more questions that you have. We'll be ending this soon. So make sure you put down all the questions that you have. Right. So one question that I have is, in terms of IELTS or TOEFL, is it enough to study by yourself? Like, should students go for coaching, or is it like completely manageable on their own?
Um, yeah, I feel like courses are a sham as well. Courses are a big sham. I don't know why people would want to take a course for something that you've been doing your entire life. I feel like it's just the enigma that surrounds the TOEFL or IELTS test. It's just like it's so important. It's not okay. There's a 98 mark limit. I don't know about IELTS. I guess it's 6.5. So it's just a 98 mark limit, and if you cross that, anything above that, it's not really important. I've talked to the admissions officer in my university when I was a student at UT, and they've talked that they give the least weightage to TOEFL. It's just that even if you get below 98, you'll be able to get into a university with a prereq of taking an English course. When you like it, obviously it will be a little difficult to get a visa without a minimum score, but you'll still be able to secure an admit. So 98 is the holy grail, and anything after that is just a number. So I would say that just you've been doing it your entire life. TOEFL is not difficult at all. I don't think IELTS is as well. You just have to remove that I don't know whatever that is from your mind. That is something huge. It's like those entrance exams that we give to get into engineering colleges. As much as engineering colleges are a sham, so are master's colleges. So it's just your way to get into another country. So focus more on just be normal. It's just an English exam. You've been doing this your entire life. You've been watching Netflix all throughout the lockdown. You don't want to spend another, I don't know, 10,000, 15,000 on a course. You've been doing it perfectly. Just keep up with what you're doing.
Perfect. So, similar question for you, Teja. It's something that students generally ask a lot. So, somebody who's got 6.5 and they suffice the basic, requirement from the university, is it suggested that they should go for it again to get a higher score? Does that really matter?
If the university is okay with five, then they're really okay with five. So 6.5 should actually be good. And again, as Kamran said, it 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 it's one of the least priorities of a university. I mean, yeah, of course, it's important. They do look at it, but it's not put under so much scrutiny as everything else. Uh, but yeah, of course, having a good score always helps because if you get a good speaking score, then chances of you getting TA in a good funded college improves too. But again, it's 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 really okay.
Yeah, just to just a little bit to add on what Teja said, that I don't feel like if you get a 6.5, it's not worth it to give a test again. Okay,
Yeah.
university put in a minimum requirement there for a reason. Don't waste your resources and time on spending another. I don't know how much time you spend preparing again and giving the test again for, I don't know, just point 0.5 increase in something. Don't spend that much time. I mean, give it once, give it perfectly, but don't like spend waste your time giving it again.
Perfect. So for all the students, if you have any more questions, just put it down in the chat section. We'll be ending the webinar soon. So before that, one question to sum it up, the best tricks that have come across, or any tip that you would like to give to any study abroad aspirant who's going to give IELTS or TOEFL soon. And right now, IELTS Indicator can be taken, and TOEFL at home exam can be taken. So for all the students who will be going through those exams, any tips from you, from your side, for maybe any of the sections for the exam day or anything? So starting with you, Teja.
Uh, do a lots of mocks. Mocks really help. They're really underrated. Lots and lots of mocks help. And for writing part, having a set structure in your mind, saying whatever the topic is, I'd go with these many lines and this kind of introduction, and having that set structure saves a lot of time. You cannot emphasize that enough. So prepare well, do lots of mocks, and have a set structure in your mind you should do good.
Same question for you, Kamran.
Oh, okay. So, well, as I said, that don't overthink stuff. It's just an English exam. One thing that I would say after like something with speaking that I said, go before beforehand, like 15, 20 minutes before the exam starts. Something that I would add with the reading section, listening section as well. Yeah. So, listening section is something that people uh, over exaggerate as well. Like you do something new. You've been listening to your professor speak all your life. You've been listening to people speak all their life. You've been watching Netflix. Don't spend don't think like out of the box on this listening section. Like what I did was when I was listening, I tried to take down notes, and when I was taking down notes, I missed some important points that were going on in the listening section, and then I messed it up entirely. And at the end of the day, those notes that I took down didn't even help because whatever I took down notes of, I already remembered listening, so that didn't really help. So don't waste your time taking down notes or something when the listening section is going on. I think it would be better if you just focus and listen to it properly. And to reiterate what Teja said, mocks will help you prepare your mind for that. So spend a lot of time in mock and don't overthink about any section, especially speaking and listening, because that's something new, and you would want to spend your more of your time writing down notes or thinking more about it. And it's just a very simple passage that's going to be spoken to you. So don't think about it too much. It's going to be all right.
Just to add to what Kamran said, yeah, if it does help me out on the listening section. If you by any chance get distracted or miss out on a specific part of the listening test, just skip it. I mean, learn to just skip that thing and just move on. If you fixate on getting that right, then you lose a lot more. So just learn to let go. That helps.
Perfect. So we'll take up a question here. We have Inayat asking, is learning German mandatory till C1, C2? So I think, Inayat, I took that before as well, but to repeat myself, no, it is not mandatory to go up to C1 and C2. Having a basic proficiency would help you. to survive there and to communicate better. But definitely, it's not mandatory, but it is suggested. We have a question from Vinay. What is the average age of students who are studying masters, especially computer science? So maybe guys, you can tell your age.
All right, I'm 23.
And I'm 25,
So
24.
that's, yeah, just
So I
five,
think
6 years
we can
And,
suppose
and
that yeah.
and my
But yeah,
roommate is 30.
exactly.
So
That's what I was gonna say. That the spectrum of age is pretty distributed. Like you'll get
yeah.
people from 35. You'll get people. I started my masters when I was 22. So there's a wide range of the people that come to masters. It's just that whenever it suits you, come over. Age is just a number. It's and the average age is just a statistic. You don't really wanna fixate on that. There is no cutoff age answering to Vinay's question. There is no cutoff age. As long as you complete your engineering, just come over. Or if you don't, if you want to even do your undergrad from here, just come over.
Perfect. So I hope Vinay this answers your question. Although there's no cutoff age, but now you know the age of both the mentors, so you can suppose though. So for everyone, you have a link on the top, and I'll make sure I also send it in the group. So I've just done that. Click on that link to ask any further questions that you might have, and we'll solve them out. You can visit AdmitKard's official website, which is www.admitkard.com, and do put up any questions or search through the pages, and you will find a lot of information. On the other hand, if you have any more questions, you can write to us, and you can do that at info@admitcard.com. Uh, okay, so we have been asking any maximum age. So maybe you can answer that.
So long as you're alive, dude, come over.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Unless you wouldn't want to have a student loan of $50,000 on your head at the age of 50. So just whenever you think that okay, I've had enough of Indian life, just come over, and then you realize that you've had enough of US life already the day you land here, and then you can go back easily.
Perfect. So now, Vinay, I hope your question has been answered. So one question that I generally ask: how many Indian students were there in your respective classes when you were studying?
It would be the other way around. How many non-Indian students were there? I would say none.
Yeah, I have none right now in all my classes.
Yeah, I mean, my
Okay.
university just has undergrad students along with grad students in a lot of classes, so in that way. But masters is generally just done by students that are not from US.
Yeah.
Perfect. So for everyone, if you have any more questions to ask, please click on the link on the top and join us in that exclusive chat where we'll help you out more. So I'll help you out with ALF particularly and give you some quick tricks, and also we can help you with your profile. So just visit AdmitCard's official website or write to us on info@admitcard.com. And so on that note, thank you so much, Kamran and Teja, for joining us. I really believe it's quite early there, but I really appreciate you coming here and guiding all students along. So thank you so much for joining us today, and for all those students, I hope you've got some insights into IELTS and TOEFL exam. And we'll see you again in one of Admin Cards webinar again. So thank you, Teja and Kamran.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
having us.
everyone. Bye bye.